Hey everybody, happy Thursday. How are you? I hope everybody's doing good. I'm doing really well today. Have a few announcements before we get started. But before we even talk about that, let's take a look at tonight's cards. I know odd colors for sure. I'm using Blackberry Bliss and Old Olive. We're going to use a few different stamp sets. I'm using Color and Contour just for the sentiment. So very happy for you. And then I decided that I wanted to try out the new Stitchery stamp set, and it was the perfect card. So we're going to add the Stitchery. Hey Pam, how are you, honey? Thank you, thank you. So I decided to try out the new Stitchery stamp set. And then I picked for tonight's card the Pretty Birds. Growing up, we always had parakeets. And I wanted to make something a little bit, hey Do, how are you? Hi Dawn. I wanted to make something a little vintagey. So that's why I chose the colors that I did. I'm going to need that stamp set and dies, so let's keep that out. So we're embossing, we're stamping, and then here's the inside of the card. And then for the other card, I am going to switch out the ribbon to this gold shimmer ribbon. And for the inside, I love the bird cage, so that's why I decided to put that on the front. And I'm using some of the mulberry flowers that I have. I have a ton of them. I used to be on design teams, and I used to purchase a lot of flowers from I Am Roses. So that's why I decided to put them on the card tonight. And then here's the inside. So before we get started, I just wanted everybody to know that my mini class with the Sunny Splash, is that what the name of that stamp set is? The registration for it closes tomorrow, June 3rd at midnight. So if you would like this mini class, you have to register by tomorrow at midnight. There is a PDF in my PDF store. And also registration is open for my potted geranium class. And it comes with these 3 cards. And if you already subscribe, you got one of my pens last month in the subscription box. So I decided to do a pen box. And then this cute little jelly bean bottle holder. And registration for that ends on the 15th of the month. So just keep that in mind. I'll remind everybody tomorrow for the beach class. And then I'll remind everybody for the class to go. The potted geranium class. Now, before we get started tonight, hi Mona, how are you? First time watching, well, welcome. It's nice to have you here. Thank you so much, excuse me, for joining us. So tonight we're going to, let me just click on this. Okay. So tonight, for the random drawing, each Thursday, I do a random drawing for everyone who's in the room. And I hope this doesn't reflect the light, but I am going to be giving away this PDF And it is a 77 page, it could be 78 page tutorial using the hues of happiness. I'm on the Create With Us design team, and these tutorials are from Stampin' Up! Demonstrators all over the world. So there are 15 tutorials and, pictures. And here, these are just the sneak peeks. It's not even, hey, Linda, how are you? I don't even have it for sale on my blog yet. I usually sell it for $20. So tonight's prize is a $20 value. And all you need to do is stay in the room and comment #pick me, and you'll be in the drawing. So let's get started. I think we'll start with this one because we have to emboss, and we might as well get that right out of the way. So let me pull out my stuff. So we're using the Blackberry Bliss. I will have the tutorial posted. It'll probably be posted early tomorrow because we do have a doctor's appointment. No space, ladies. No space between pick and me. It's one word. We have a doctor's appointment tomorrow morning. So I already have the PDF ready. I just have to post it. So we're going to start with the Blackberry Bliss 8.5 by 5.5, and I scored it at 4 1/4. So you don't need to keep track of the measurements. Okay, then I decided to add an additional layer of the Blackberry Bliss, and this is 5 3/8 by 4 1/8, and then a layer of the Old Olive. And this Old Olive is 5 1/4 by 4. Now, hopefully my glue works. Otherwise, I'll have to pull out a new one. You know me and my glue. I don't keep my lids on, so they're always stuck. Oh, you have a doctor's appointment too. You are so welcome, Carla. So I'm pretty excited. The reason we didn't FaceTime today is I actually went out looking for a venue to hold a crafting retreat. And I have to say, I'm a little apprehensive because I've never done one before, but I'm really excited because I'm going to be using some new products from the mini catalog that's coming out. And I found a venue, and I am going to be holding my first card making retreat in the first week of October. So if you're interested, keep an eye out for the notification. I'm pretty excited. We went out looking today, and I was able to book my date. And I have it all set up. Now I just have to get it all put together. So it's going to be pretty exciting. Okay. And I forgot to tell you, this Blackberry Bliss is 3 3/4 by 5. Okay. And all I did was layer it using glue. And now we can put this, we're going to pop this whole layer up on the front of the card. So let's do that first. Let me pull out some dimensionals. I get nervous. I think my apprehension is, it's not like that movie, if you build it, they will come. So that's where my apprehension comes from. I want it to be a success, and I think it'll be fun. I booked it for a whole day with a luncheon. So, I think it's October 7th. October 7th. Hey, Kathy, how are you, honey? Karen, how are you? Okay, so now I'm using the Designer Series paper. I believe it's the Regals pack in the old olive, and this is 3 5/8 by 4 7/8, and I'm going to use the polka dot side, and this is the layer that we are going to use the stitchery die. And again, please ignore my blocks. They need to be washed. I just didn't have a chance to do them today. Okay, so I'm going to pull out my Blackberry Bliss. And the way I did it, you'll notice that one side of the stamp is not straight, but there's no bumps. And then the other side of the stamp is a little bit wavy. So I decided to do the wavy side towards the end of the paper. So this way I could just line up pretty much these waves, because it's really not a straight line, to stamp on the edges of my paper. And of course I did put the sticker on the back too, so it's a good way to line it up. So I'm just going to look to see where those little bumps are on the stamp itself and hopefully get it in a good position. And that's not really too bad, right at the end of the paper. So now let's just turn it, and we're going to do all 4 sides. And you know me, I get a little nervous when I'm stamping because I have a tendency to rock my block. And when I rock my block, it makes a disaster. So now I'm going to do this side too, and I'm going to overlap the lines on the corner. Okay, so let's get the next side. Just going to move it over a little because I want the straight lines to be at the corners. Okay, there's 3 out of 4, ladies. I'm doing good so far. Let's not mess it up now. Okay, a little too close to the edge, but it will do. Let's put that stamp aside. Now that I have the stitching, hey Julie, how are you, honey? Now that I have the stitching done, I'm going to take one of my blenders, and you can see I have a pearl stuck to it, and I'm going to grab my soft suede. Now you can use our blending brushes. I just find this one a little easier to do the edges, and I'm just going to distress the edges with some soft suede. I just think when you're doing a vintage card, darkening your edges just changes the look a little bit. You could distress them with a pair of scissors and just rough up the edges. And actually, if I'm thinking correctly, I actually believe there is a new set of dies out that does it for us. The edges are not straight. I haven't looked at it yet. Okay, so there we go. We just distress the edges. And I'm just looking at my card. Do you know what I did wrong? Look what I did. I put the layer on, and there is my ribbon. So let's do that right now. I do it every week. Just gotta pull out my ribbon scissors, and this is a quick fix. I'm just gonna take 2 pieces. This is not ribbon that we can tie, so we're just going to cut our little strips. Let's grab a glue dot. We're gonna just put it on the end. Let's turn this. And we're going to just stick it right between these layers, just like that, and push down. And I'm going to do the same thing to the other side. And then I don't have to worry about this piece. Just want to get an eyeball to see where I want to put it. And stick it right under there. Is it straight? Nope. Just scooch it down a little bit. Okay. So let's just close this up a second. And just so for those who came in late, thank you, Kathy. It's called deckled or something. Yes, that's what it is. It's called deckled. Okay. So just so you know, tonight's giveaway, I'm doing the tutorial, and you need to comment hashtag pick me, one word, to be entered, and we'll do it towards the end of the video. Okay, so now we're going to take this great layer, and I am going to pull out one of these square vellum doilies. These are retired, but I bought a bunch of them for my cup of tea class. So I have some left over. And now this time I am going to grab my blending brush. And you'll be able to look at these to see the right and the wrong side. And I'm just going to use 2 corners. So I'm going to pull out my Blackberry Bliss again. And I'm just going to give these corners some Blackberry Bliss color. Okay, just like that. And since I was out looking for a venue today, reason I did just 2 projects is because they are pretty involved in lots of layers, but I didn't get a chance to make my 3rd item. So this week, instead of doing Simple Saturday, we're going to make this cute little bird cage. See, I didn't even finish it. I'm going to use it for those electric tea lights. And I think it's really cute. Like I said, I love birds. So this is just a great stamp set for me. Okay, so all I did was cut off my corners because I just want, that's for the other card, silly me. This one, actually, you'll notice I did do the whole edge. So let me grab another one. The other card has the corners. What was I thinking? Okay, so let's pull out another one. Set that aside. So we're going to do 2 long edges. I'll show you the corners on the next card. So we're just going to do the same thing. Just add some color to the edge here. And you can make this as dark or as light as you like. So the event is going to be for 1 day. And I've been looking for some hotels in the area in case anyone from out of town wanted to come, that there were places you could stay. And it's going to be on a Friday. And if I find that there's a lot of people that are going to stay, I think maybe we'll get together the following day, which will be fun. Okay, so I just cut off some pieces, colored them, and cut them straight off. So now we're going to grab our stitch layer and we're going to adhere it to the front of the card. A little bit of glue and layer it right down on the front of the card. Okay. Then what I did is took some Blackberry Bliss again, and this measures 2.5 by 3.25, and this is 2 3/8 by 3 1/8. Did I make it a little smaller? It shrunk a little bit. Okay, that's fine. Okay, so, and then I ran it through the embossing machine with the quatrefoil embossing folder. So I'm just going to adhere these two layers together, just like this. Make sure it's on there straight. That's why I use glue, so I can move it just a little bit. And then I'm going to grab my tearing tape. There's no up and down or top and bottom, so I don't have to worry. And I'm just going to run a strip of tearing tape down the side. Move this out of the way for a second. Take off our paper. And we're going to adhere this. Now you want to remember the right side down. We're just going to pop this on to the back. And we want to make sure it's on here even. Scoot that up. And then we're going to do the same thing to our stitched rectangle. And this is the 1 7/8 by 3 1/8. And this should be 1 3/4 by 3. And it is. And this is from the same designer series pack. It has flowers and stripes. And I decided to use the stripes to go with the polka dots on this one. We're just going to layer this together, and I just want to fit it in between the stitching. Oh, thanks, Marianne. Yeah, it's going to be cute. I'm getting there. Like I said, unfortunately, I didn't get a chance to finish it. And again, we're going to run this down the side for the other piece. And again, right side facing down. And we're just going to line this up. I'm just using the first set of circles. I don't want it to stick yet. It's a little crooked, to get it down there even. Okay. So now we can pull in our card again. This one we're just going to adhere right down to the front of the card. So let's get that glue. And I want to still see my stitching, so I'm just going to move it over. Just want to make sure it's on here straight, though. The stitching is throwing me off because it's crooked. Okay, that's good. Then we're going to take the second piece. And before we put this on, I used this little banner punch. And I punched one out in Old Olive. And then I punched one out in the striped. But this time I'm going to use the flower facing out. And we're just going to add a bit of glue. We're going to adhere it to that Old Olive. And then we're going to add it just to the back of this piece. And to be honest, the only reason I added this piece is because when I was done with the card, it looked too empty up on top. It seemed like everything was scooted down here at the bottom. So that's why I added a little tag. Let's add some glue. And we're going to add this right to the front of the card, crooked. Now that I can do. Hey, Linda. I would use probably doilies, paper doilies. I know we had them, and I don't know if they're still available, the round ones, but I would use, you can get them like in the party section in your, even the dollar store, in the party section, they have the white doilies. I would use those. Or if you would like, and you wanted to create these cards, send me your address. I'll throw a couple in the mail to you, because honestly, I do have quite a few. Okay, so now that we have these layers on the front, it's safe for me to pull in, and I'm just going to trim this off a little bit. It's safe now for me to pull in these ribbons. So I'm just going to grab some glue dots, and I'm just going to add it to the end of the ribbon and pull these in, making sure that, oops, glue dot didn't stick. Stuck to my finger instead. I'm just going to pull that in. Same thing with this ribbon. If you don't have this ribbon, you could substitute any ribbon. And even make it your own colors. Okay, so now we have our ribbon pulled in. Now my sentiment, this is from the Meadow dies. So I die cut it from Blackberry Bliss. Just want to get myself organized here. And then now we have to stamp our bird cage. So I put it away, and I did. So let me just grab my bird cage. And it is so pretty. Now the way I do it, so it doesn't distort, I like to put it face down first, and then grab my block and lay my block on it. Then this way I know it is on my block and everything is straight and it's not distorted. And again, ignore my dirty blocks. Let's grab some Versamark. And we are going to ink this up really good. And we're going to grab our silicone mat so we get a nice stamp. Just like that. And some gold embossing powder. Ladies, can I let you in on a secret? I've seen the new catalog, the mini catalog for the holidays. And it's awesome, of course. Oops, piece of ribbon in there. They're bringing back the embossing buddy. I'm so excited. Okay, so let's... All right, we've got a little bit here, so we want to brush that off. This corner. I don't have to worry about anything on the outside because we're going to die cut this. Let's get rid of this embossing powder. Makes such a mess. And let's emboss this. Okay, so there's our bird cage. Now before I die cut that, let's let it cool down a little bit. We're going to pull in our mat again. Yes, the Versamark. Yes, the Versamark is a glue type stamp set, a stamp pad. It's actually a watermarker. It watermarks things, and you, like I just did, let's do it again. Let me pull out my sentiment. What did I do with it? Did I put it back? It's possible. I did not. That's the one thing. Oh, here it is. Okay, so we have our stamp. Versamark is clear and it's very sticky, just like glue. So you'll ink up. That's the wrong one. Happy birthday, I want. We'll use the rubber. Ink it up really good. And it's clear and sticky. And you'll grab your whatever you're going to stamp. And we're going to stamp happy birthday. Okay, so now can you see the happy birthday? Right there. It's a little sticky. This is embossing powder. It comes in black and white and gold and silver and copper. I think there might be another color. And you just put it right over top of what you just stamped. And then just give it a few seconds and then tap it off. Now sometimes you'll get some embossing powder around where you, on your paper. And that's where the embossing, I usually use a dryer sheet, but they're coming back out with the embossing buddy where it has the powder in it and you put it on your paper before you stamp it and it stops it from it takes the static off the top of your paper. So the embossing takes better. Yes, clear. Thank you, Kathy. It comes in clear also. And the tray, yes, did you see that? I'm so excited. Even paintbrushes. When I saw that, I really didn't even want the bundle, but I was like, oh man, this is perfect. I know you can get it separately too, but okay, so then we're going to use a heat tool. And you're going to put it over and you can see it change Oops. You can see the image change, or the powder change, from powder to gold. And then it's nice and embossed. It's really nice. Okay, so now let's grab our bird cage. And I'm going to grab my mini cut and emboss machine and stick that in. Let's put our bird cage down. And let me just grab the die. I ended up putting it away so I wouldn't lose it, because my cats hang out in here sometimes. Okay. So we're going to line up. Let me pull this way so you can see. Here's the bird cage die. We're going to line this up on this bird cage and make sure that everything is lined up properly. Now, to know that it's straight, you'll be able to see the embossing through these little holes. So you know that it's at least lining up with the little beads at the top of the stamp. And we're just going to cover this up with our other plate. I just want to lay it down easy because it just moved it. All right. Now, another little trick, and I'm going to do it because my hands are shaky tonight. Let's see where it is. So you can line your die up, and this is just old washi tape. I never use washi tape, so I use it for my dies. And you'll just take it, line your die up, and it'll hold it in place. So now when I put this down and go to crank it, the die will stay in place. And there is our bird cage, and there is the die. All right. So now we can pull in our card again. I did pop my bird cage up. So let's grab some dimensionals, and we're going to add two to the bird cage. Now you can see the top is very thin. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut a very thin piece off the edge of my dimensionals and just cut it off. Take part of the paper off. Use a pokey tool. Take the other paper off. And we're just going to line it up right at the top of the piece. Now I could use the strips that we have, but I've noticed that the foam for the strips is a little bit deeper than the foam for the dimensionals. So it'll go on lopsided, or it won't be level. Okay, so I'm going to just line the top of this bird cage up with the Blackberry Bliss on top. Make sure it's on here straight. Just scoot it over a little bit. And there is our bird cage. I'm going to grab my happy birthday, and we're also going to pop this up with some dimensionals. And I'm using 3 because it's got to stick to this ribbon, and I'm going to put it over to the right a little bit. And again, I'm going to hold it up. That looks straight. Okay. Ladies, I pre-tied my bows because these are so little. My fingers weren't working properly, and this is the Simply Elegant twine. And I'm just going to trim these little tails, and I do have another one. Just going to make my loops a little smaller and trim my tails. I might have to trim them again, but oh, Elle loves the golden. We're going to have to get you some, girly. It's fun. The only thing is the heat tool does get very hot, so you'd have to be careful with the heat tool. Okay, now we're going to add these little bows to the sides, and we're going to pull in my pokey tool and some glue dots. My glue dots are sticky tonight, ladies, because it is warm. Temperature, like I said, I don't have air conditioning in here. And I have that little one, but I do have the door open, but it hasn't been open long enough. Just looking. Oh, there they are. And then we're just going to take the bows and stick them on each side of the sentiment, just like that. Okay? Let's just trim these a little bit. All right, now we can work on our parakeets. So, these are really adorable. Let me just grab this silicone mat again. You want your silicone mat when you're using your photopolymer stamps. And I'm going to grab these group of birds, or parakeets, I should say. Okay. And then, let's move that sentiment. There is a second stamp, so we can color these little birds in. So for the outline, I'm going to grab some Blackberry Bliss, and we're going to just ink it up and stamp. And there they are. And then we're going to bring in our scrap paper again. Here's our little birds. We're going to ink them up. And I'm actually going to stamp on my scrap because that's too dark for my birds. And I'm going to stamp it now. And you want to line up the color with these little birds and stamp. Now the branch is not colored, so I'm just going to grab my dark crumb cake, and I'm going to add some dark crumb cake along the bottom of this branch, just like that. And then I'm going to grab the light crumb cake, trying to avoid their little feet, and color that in. Then I'm just going to grab my dark gray granite, and right underneath on the bird, I'm putting a gray line. it's a little off-centered, my birds and their color. So you can't notice it all that well, but I just did that for an added shadow. So now let's pull out, I forgot about having to die cut this one. Let's just pull out the die. We'll make it a little easier. I'm going to cut this. And let me just check the inside of this. We're going to do it a second time, ladies. So we'll be ready for the inside of the card. So hopefully I'll get it on there straighter this time. So again, this is for the inside of the card. There are birds. And then we're going to color them in now. So we're going to stamp off. Let's do that again. We're going to stamp off. So we'll have a little bit of a lighter color. Line your birds up. And stamp. See, they came out much better. And then we can do the same thing. You'll notice now, if I take the dark, hey Julie, how are you? If you're still around, Julie, I booked a venue. How exciting is that? I even got a date. So I'm pretty excited. All right, so again, dark crumb cake along the bottom. Why? Because it would be a shadow on the bottom. And then the light crumb cake we'll do along the top. And again, I'm trying to avoid the bird's feet. Okay. So now we have our birds for the inside and for the outside. Let's grab our cut and emboss machine again. And put our die on our little birds. That looks pretty good. Oops. I do that every time. Ah, silly. Thank goodness for washi tape, huh? You know what it is? My plate is warped. I must not rotate it around enough or something. All right, so let's just add some washi tape. And then we have bird number 1. All cut out. And then we can run it through again. I was going to say, where's the other plate? Yeah. I hear you, Kathy. All right, so there are little birds. Don't want to lose my dies. Let's get rid of our plates. Pull our card back in. Okay, so we're going to say, I'll save 1 for the inside, 1 set for the outside, and of course, we're going to pop these babies up. So let's add some dimensionals. And what I did was the end of this branch, oops, I'm going to just line it up with this edge of the designer series paper because they're both at an angle. This is popped up, so let me get rid of this dimensional here because I want the layers to be level. So we'll add some glue instead to this side. I'm lining up my branch. It's down with a dimensional, and then it's glued to the bird cage. Let's pull out some pearls and we'll color them up. Where is it? That's not it. There it is. With ivory. And we're going to do 3 for this card. So let's color these up. And you can see my tip. I use it to color a lot of pearls, so my tip is a mess. So let's just color a few of these up so they have a chance to dry. I didn't use white because I'm using very vanilla for everything else. Now I'm just going to let those dry and we're going to work on the inside of the card. I have some old olive. Thanks, Kathy. 5 3/8 by 4 1/8, and then very vanilla 5 1/4 by 4. And for this one, I'm going to take a strip of old olive, and this should be about 3/8 of an inch. And then I am going to use the flowered part of the designer series paper, and this is 1/4 of an inch. And I grabbed it because that's what we used for the banner. And we're just going to adhere these 2 strips together. And I know they're not the right size, but I'm going to show you what I do to keep it straight on the inside of the card. There's only a very little bit of space on either side. Oops. It's just going to take a minute for that to dry. And then we're going to grab our glue again. We're going to run the glue down. Take our very vanilla layer and decide where you want it. Now we know that the birds, they flew away. What the heck? They were just right here. We know the birds are going to go down here, so let's just pull this up a little bit. And what I would do is hold it at the vertical, and then you can push this strip down so it's level with your table and the edge of your very vanilla. And it should be on there pretty straight, using the table as your guide. Now, you saw me put those birds over here. Here they are. I was going to say they flew the coop. Okay, so now that this is on, I can take my scissors or my little cutter, and we're just going to cut it right down the side of the very vanilla, and now it's nice and flush. So you don't have to worry about overhang or it being crooked. So now we're going to use our seal so we don't see the glue. Maybe, oh, maybe not. I was going to say, I think it's empty. It is. So I guess we will use our glue and hope we don't see it. I'll just use a little bit. And layer this down. just like that. And then we're going to grab our little birds. I'm just going to add glue down here. And we're going to just stick them right on this piece. Grab my glue eraser. Get that glue off. Okay. And we can pull our card back in and layer it right on the inside. Now, if you're joining us late, tonight's prize is a 78-page tutorial using Hues of Happiness. There's 15 tutorials in there, and I have to tell you, the projects in there are gorgeous. It's a $20 value. I don't even have it on my blog yet for sale. So you'll be the first one to get it. Just comment, #PickMe, all one word. All right, now that our pearls should be dry, we're going to put one right here in this corner. And then we're going to grab two, and we're going to put two right here on this corner. Make sure it's straight. And there we go. There's card number 1. See, I told you, ladies, these cards are taking me forever tonight. So I hope you like that. Something different. Definitely the colors are different. Thank you, thank you. Okay, let's jump into card number 2. We're going to start again with the Blackberry Bliss. But this time it is 11 by 4 1/4. Let's just make sure this is lined up, and it's scored at 5 1/2. Thanks, Margaret. How are you, honey? Hey, Sharon. Okay. Then I have a layer of, let me just make sure I have the right layer here. Old Olive, 5 1/4 by 4. And then we're going to use the stripes this time. And this is 5 1/8 by 3 7/8. Now, before we layer this layer down, we're going to take out our soft suede. And let me just grab, and we're going to distress these edges a little bit. Just give it an old-time feel. Just like that. Okay. Let's get these glued together and down on the front of the card. Hopefully I don't run out of glue now. Now again, getting your layers on straight. If your paper is cut properly, if you line up your 3 sides, the 4th side should be fine. And if it's not, that's why I use glue. So I can just scoot it over a little. Okay. Now, if I was in here by myself, I would use the seal. Okay, so now we're just going to layer this down right on the front of the card. Oh, there goes my phone. Hold on 1 second, ladies. Alarm goes off for medicine and Bill's sleeping. Okay, so I did Old Olive, and this is the stitched rectangle, 2 5/8 by 4. And we're going to pop this up. And then we're going to use the flower side of the designer series paper. And this is 2.5 by 3 7/8. But before we put it down, I'm going to distress the edges of this also. And there should be enough ink to get me around all 4 sides. Just like that. And then before we put it down, now here are the corners that I colored thinking I was putting it on the first card. And I'm going to grab some Terran tape. And again, grab my cap for my glue. That's what I use to trim my Terran tape. Now this time, make sure you use the right side. I'm using these 2 dots or these 2 holes here as my guide, and I'm going to hide them behind. Oops. But I want to make sure it's centered as best I can. So there's one. And then again, we're going to do this side the same way. Get it centered. And we want to hide those circles. Just like that. And that looks pretty even. It's probably a little off, but, and then we're going to grab some dimensionals. And we're going to pop this up right on the front of the card. Now for this card, for the flowers, these are mulberry flowers. I would normally put them on with a hot glue gun because they stay much better with a hot glue gun. But tonight we're just going to use the liquid glue. Okay, so now I'm just going to layer this on my stitched rectangle. And again, I'm just going to try to get it inside the stitching. I don't have to worry about the bottom stitching because the bird cage is going to cover that. Okay, so so far there is, actually it's a die, Amanda. It comes, there's stitching around. Let me see if I can pull it out. Here we go. This is a larger one. See the stitching around the edge? So you would cut it out and it leaves the stitching behind. Okay. So here we have our bird cage. And I cut it out in our gold foil. And then I have the tailor-made dies, one in Old Olive, one in Very Vanilla. The Old Olive one, I'm going to distress the edges. And I am going to take this and I'm going to lay it right here on the corner. Now I want it to be popped up just like this layer, but I don't want it popped up too high. So I'm going to use one dimensional in the corner so it'll hold it up on this corner, and then I'm going to run some glue on this side so when I put this down here on the corner it's level. Okay, now I'm going to take my bird cage and I'm going to add some glue. I'm just going to put little dots around the edges because I don't really want it to squeeze out. and then at the top. And I'm just going to lay this down on the front of the card. And again, you want to make sure it's straight. Let me just look. Okay, that looks pretty good. And I'm just going to sit this right there so that holds in place and dries really well. And in the meantime, I'm going to cut another length of this ribbon, and I'm actually going to feed it through the opening in this die. I probably should have done it before I glued it, but this way it'll hold in place. So I can pull this through just like this. And then I'm going to grab a glue dot. It's funny how my glue dots disappear all the time. Just like this. And I'm going to put a glue dot. Am I off the thing? Yep. Put a glue dot here. And then I'm just going to fold this up. Just like that. Grab my scissors, and then I can trim this so it's pretty even. All right, let's see what we got here. I'm in the middle of a mess, it seems. All right, let's grab our gold cord. I did have, oh, here it is. I did make another little bow, because like I said, my fingers are just not working properly. So I created another little bow, and we're just going to trim these down. Grab another glue dot, and we're going to add this glue dot right to this ribbon, and we're going to add our gold bow right there. I'm just going to trim this one a little bit more. All right, now that should be dry. I have these mulberry flowers, and they're on wire stems, and I just pull the head off. So this way the flower will lay flat. Okay. I want the purple one in the center. So we're going to put a good blob of glue down, because like I said, this kind of glue doesn't work as well as hot glue. And then we're going to put one on this side. I'm going to have to probably get glue, and one on this side. So we'll just stick these down. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to just put my stamp pad on here so they dry. Move it out of the way. We're going to grab our other tag, the very vanilla tag, and this is the one we're going to stamp So Very Happy for You. So we're using our silicone mat. We're using our Blackberry Bliss, and we're going to just ink up, stamp our sentiment, grab our blender again, and we're just going to add some distress color to the edges, just like that. Take that pad out of the way. And then this is going to go on the front of the card. So while we're waiting for those flowers, I changed the ribbon up. This is the gold. Thanks, girls. And we'll be picking, that's not long enough, the winner as soon as I'm done with the front of this card. So, last chance. Hashtag pick me for a 78-page tutorial using the Hues of Happiness stamp set and bundle, I should say. And know that you don't need to have the bundle to use the tutorial. You can use the tutorial, create the same cards using different stamp sets. So you don't have to have the stamp set to create the cards that are in this bundle. Of course, they'll look different, but if you're using flowers, you can create with the flowers that you have. Okay, so let's just trim this up and do this one again because it moved. I'm going to gently take this up, and it looks, they're getting there. I'm going to pop up this tag. So we're going to grab our dimensionals. I'm going to line up the holes, but I'm going to tilt it at an angle. Grab a glue dot. And add my bow. Let's pull out these pearls. I still have the ones that I colored, so we're going to grab 1, 2, and then 1, 2, and then we just need to stamp our bird for the front. So we're going to grab some Very Vanilla. And we need this one here. Yep. So we have a little larger bird. This time I'm going to stamp him in Memento. So I'm just going to ink him up. And he comes to life with some color. And we're going to give him a stamp. Let's put him back. I think this is the one. Yep. So we get to color him in too. And this time I'm going to use Tahitian Tide and Parakeet Party. So for the top of my bird, I'm using the Tahitian Tide. And I'm actually going to ink them up, stamp them off, and that looks like it's, and then stamp him. And again, you're going to line up his beak, line up his feathers, give him a stamp. And then we're going to take the bottom of his body and we're going to use the Parakeet Party and we're going to ink it up and then stamp off, fill in the bottom of his body, just like that. And then we need to cut him out. I don't want these dies to get lost. So we'll grab the die for this little guy. That's not him. Here he is. And I'm going to jump to my big one so I can do this quicker because it's right here. Now it moved, of course. So I'm just going to grab my scissors and I'm just going to trim him off on this side a little bit. Now, if you weren't here at the beginning of the video, on Saturday, instead of doing Simple Saturday, we're going to be creating this bird cage. I'm going to put a battery operated tea light in here. So that's what we'll be creating on Saturday to go with these cards. I would have done it today, but I didn't have a chance. All right, in this stamp set, there is also a branch. So I wanted the branch to be popped up, but because it's so thin, I knew it was going to be difficult. So I am just going to put a little bit of glue on this twig or branch, just like that. And then I am going to attach his feet to the branch, just like that. And while that's drying, I'm just going to grab some So Saffron and color in his paws, his feet. And I'm going to grab some dark crumb cake, go under his little crest, and fill in that beak. So now that he's attached to his twig, I can turn him over, grab a dimensional, and stick him right on the front of the card. So there's the front of the card. Now before we do the inside, let's do a quick, thanks Amanda. Let's do our drawing. So let me just share the other screen so we do it right this time. And we're going to do giveaway tool, share, and draw. Amanda Nichols, you are the winner. Congratulations. There we go. Now you'll be able to create some beautiful cards and have all the dimensions where you're just beginning. Okay, inside 5 3/8 by 4 1/8, 5 1/4 by 4. We're going to grab that bird cage again and my mat and my Blackberry Bliss. And we're going to ink up this stamp. And I'm going to put it sideways. And we're going to stamp the bird cage. And that didn't work. Huh. Let me get another piece here. I guess I need to ink up my stamp pad. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do it this way. That'll work much better. Huh! Now why is it doing that, ladies? It's not hitting that bottom piece. Let's put it on here. The ink's there. It's just not... There we go. I was going to say 3rd time's a charm, but I did it 4 times, didn't I? All right. And then we're going to do the same little bird. So, I think I put his body back. I did. So we're going to grab our little bird and some memento. My desk just got very crowded for some reason. And we're going to sit him right here at the bottom. Let's grab, we'll do the bottom of him, and this is in the green, and I don't know if I did it full strength or not, no. So let's just get a piece and stamp off. Fill in his body. And then get his head. And we're using the Tahitian Tide. Now the Tahitian Tide is causing little bubbles on my stamp because it's so new. So let's just fill in his body. That's not bad. Get this out of the way. Pull in our base. Add some glue. Don't want it to be too gloppy because it's going to show through. Grab our card. And there we go. Our second card is finished. So here's 1. And here is 2. And again, most probably, Amanda. So just as a reminder, Saturday we'll be creating this little bird cage. And it's going to be for a tea light, a little battery-operated tea light. So I hope to see you at 11 o'clock on Saturday. Congratulations, Amanda. The PDF, these are the cards. It actually is. There's this one right here uses the embossing. This one here too. So these are the cards that you can create with all the measurements and photos. So thanks for joining me, everybody. Have a great night, and I will see you on Saturday. Thank you all so much. Bye-bye.